Patents have become a weapon of choice for technology companies jockeying for competitive position. But that gets expensive and it may stifle innovation. Ran, you've been looking at something Twitter, of all people, is doing that may change some of that. Tell us about that.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, when an inventor in a company creates an invention and the patent is issued, it's usually owned by the company. Well, Twitter's done an interesting thing. It said, look, inventor, we're going to give you some legal rights. We're going to give you the right to veto any lawsuit that we may think we want to bring against another company for allegedly infringing our patent. That really does two things. One, it attracts engineers because it gives them a control over what they invent. But also, two, it's a check on Twitter's ability to do what they call offensive patent litigation. In other words, suing other companies to try and stop them from coming out with their products.
Of course, the inventors, the engineers, they don't mind getting rich, but they also tend to like the idea of people around them being creative. I mean, so they don't like offensive litigation.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of them really have a problem with this whole system that has sprung up in patent litigation.
But I mean, this has become a big deal, right? And it's got expensive for Microsoft and Apple and Samsung and you name it. Right?
Yeah, just look at AOL. AOL, they paid $1 billion for the patents from AOL, and people were thinking these weren't worth very much at all.
Right.
And as Ren points out, the key is that engineers aren't created equal. Some engineers are worth 10 average engineers, and if you can attract those people to your company, well, then you're going to be far better off. So it's expensive.
And it's the academic mentality that makes them want other people to be able to do things.
Exactly, and the problem is that it wasn't just these companies. The problem is engineers, they developed something, and then their company sold, and then that company sold, and that company sold, and 10 years, 5 years down the line, someone they don't even know is suing another company they might like, or maybe even their own company, because they think that their technology, their invention can be used for an offensive weapon.
Well, and I think one of the reasons these patents are so expensive is that a lot of these companies buy the patents just for strategic purposes, to be able to defend themselves against other companies suing them, and also to go after other companies.
Right, it's a litigation game. It's not really about the science
It's not really
or the
about
innovation.
the intrinsic value of the patent, isn't that right? It's more a strategic
The other thing is technology is usually a winner-take-all game. And so if you think about something like mobile phones, if you get it, your company's worth $100 billion, maybe more. If you don't get it, it's worth zero. so there's the incentive to pay a lot for these patents if it means that you get a little bit more of the market.
Right, but the patent isn't everything. I mean, we've looked at some of these things before as well. Companies that claim to have a patent for something, but they've completely failed to exploit it. Yet they're still going to litigate if somebody else does a way better job.
Well, that's right. And then you have the additional problem of the so-called patent trolls who buy these patents purely, they don't produce anything and they don't make anything that's patented. They buy them purely to be able to sue on them and to collect fees or to collect damages or whatever it is. And it really doesn't contribute at all to innovation, which is really the core purpose of a patent in the first place.
So what Twitter's doing isn't going to address that issue, right? But Twitter's trying to sort of turn
Twitter
the tide a little bit,
I mean,
maybe.
Twitter alone is not going to have any effect. I mean, whatever it does. I mean, it's applied for a lot of patents, but I don't think it even has any patents yet. But
they have very little revenue, so it's kind
very little revenue.
That's probably a problem they need to address
but it puts pressure on bigger companies. It puts pressure on the Apples and Microsofts of the world to do the same thing. It adds this incentive for engineers to join Twitter. It sort of changes the game, and I think the hope is that companies will collaborate and will take this kind of model, and it will help reduce this abusive patent litigation.
Okay, we'll leave it there. We'll be watching Twitter and the patent wars, and we'll have more from Breaking Views tomorrow.